Did your mother been from, was she from Illinois?
My mother and dad were both from, oh, near Hillsborough, in that area. Dad was from, Mom and Dad were both from, our mother and dad were both from, in that Hillsborough, in that area over in the hills over in there.
Okay.
It's beautiful country.
Oh, isn't it neat? Yeah. And they were married when, do you know?
Well, they must have been married like in around 1920. I was born in 21, and I think I came
We'll see you later.
soon.
Yeah.
So it was probably 1920. I don't know the month and the date though.
Okay. But they were both from that area, so that's obviously how they met. And then did they buy and own a farm then? Is that when they owned the 40 acres?
No. We lived down near the tracks, the railroad station in Elroy. Yeah, until I was about, well, Carol was born, and then after that is when they moved on to that 40 acres.
We went through there on our bikes.
The house is still standing
Which
there.
one? Which
The
one?
house right near the railroad station.
Right near that? All those tunnels
the house
and things?
is still there.
The house is still there. Do you know the
Near
address?
near the railroad.
You know the
The
address?
second house, no, it's the third house from the
Was it
corner.
the house from the
Yeah,
corner?
it's a brown house.
Want some wine, Jim?
I'd like a glass of ice
I
water.
got classy glasses then.
Okay, so they lived there for how?
Our new wine glasses.
As long as you bring it.
So
Jim.
we lived there, I'd say,
I'm a
well,
fool?
until I was like 5 years old, because Carol was born in that house too.
Oh, yeah.
And then after that, we moved on to that other place.
114 North Franklin Street.
Franklin Street.
What was it?
114 North Franklin Street.
Okay, and that's the farm
That
house.
was the place where
40 acres.
And in what town? Here in Racine?
Elroy.
Oh, in Elroy, yeah.
All right, and then you lived there, and then wasn't there some other land bought? Didn't you buy a bigger?
No, we moved on the farm.
But I thought there was some bigger property that you bought.
Sanderson's.
Okay, just tell me
Dad
kind of
bought
as
that.
best as you can the progression from there. All right, then your mother had, thank you, the order of your birth is you, and then Carol,
Carol, and then Bob,
and
then Ramona, and then Bill.
Bill. Okay, and then how old was Bill when your mother died?
About a year and a half.
About a year and a half. And she died of what?
A blood clot is what really
Pulmonary embolism.
What caused it?
killed her. And she had had that operation. And,
What?
Colostomy. Colostomy. I get those two mixed up. One's a test and one's a surgery.
yeah.
I had the colonoscopy.
She was like-
test.
I think it was.
Is this all complications from like a disease that you had, like Crohn's
Right.
disease, yeah?
But she was doing well, you know, from the surgery. And
Blood clot got her.
Did you ever
blood
read
clot is
that
what really killed her.
history that Dr.
I started
Schaefer?
to read
It's
that.
really interesting.
Uh-huh. I
On
did
her
that.
write-up, her actual write-up.
Oh, yeah?
It says at the very end, the doctors say, we really feel bad
Sunday.
Mrs. Stanek expired. We really feel bad because we did such a good job on her. In regards
Well,
to
I
the
think
surgery.
she would have been all right if this blood clot wouldn't have got her, because she complained about a pain in her arm that whole day beforehand. You know, and
See, they never got you up in those days
And,
for surgery.
oh,
You
yeah.
laid there and laid
but you
there.
laid
and-
for so many days, you didn't move like you do now.
Yeah, and that's probably, okay, so she was like 32 when she died?
33.
33. Okay, and then what did your father do then?
Well, let's see.
You were living on the farm.
We
excuse
lived
me.
on. We
All
were
right.
living on that. It wasn't out in the country. It was in the
Kind of in the
city, but we had that 40 acres
Property
across the road,
extended, yeah.
Oh, okay.
and all the way to the river.
What were your chores on the farm? Did y'all have certain chores you had to do or something?
Yeah, we had to feed the chickens and clean the chicken coop.
Then when you left, I got that job.
And clean the toilet.
Oh, I got that
And,
job too.
well,
Toilets aren't bad.
How about Carol? How about Carol?
Carol used to tell me that I did such a nice job on the toilet that I should do it.
you eat that intake when you've got
Carol
to
for
eat it.
you.
And then
you
they
fell
didn't.
for it,
Sure,
right?
I did.
Yeah,
Is
we
that
had to work
outhouse
in the
or-
house. We
No,
had big
indoor.
gardens in the summer. We had to work in the garden and help with the
Pick
canning.
cucumbers,
Canning.
make blood sausage, butcher pigs.
Bohemian
We used to do
sausage.
it. We used to do everything.
Did
I
everything.
remember splitting kindling and bringing in the coal
Who knew how to
every
make the
night.
bohemian sausage? Because my mother still makes that.
Oh, yeah.
Dad and Julia always made the
Did
sausage,
Did
yeah.
Dad know
always-
that before? Or?
Sure, well,
My dad
I
and my
suppose,
mother
yeah.
always made it. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Well,
well,
now
that's
Julia-
an old Bohemian
She still makes that. I don't know if you can
recipe,
get the recipe or
Julia,
not.
Julia isn't in the picture yet, and I want to get back to now. Your mother died,
Okay.
and so now what
Yeah.
happened?
All right. For
I
that,
can digress.
she died in September.
Go in the other room.
I want to hear.
Maybe
I want to hear
digressing.
about them chickens and pigs, you know, and them
I
flush
didn't-
toilets indoors.
We didn't
Yeah.
have any flush toilet indoors at that time.
Yeah, they had-
Our old grandma. When our mother died, we did have a toilet inside because, no, we did not have a toilet inside, no. Our old grandma lived with us, Dad's mother, until she got real bad and had to go to the hospital, and then she had to go back. and
I
forth.
remember when she died, Dorothy. Don't you think she died before our mother died?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, because I remember going to her wake. And it was in Aunt Annie's farmhouse. We traveled that night to go to her wake.
Aunt
and she
Annie was in Madison.
But
Was
then
she
it
not
was
with her
Aunt
in Madison?
Barbara's house, or it was a farmhouse, and Aunt Annie and all the aunts were around, and Aunt Annie, right before we left, took me by the hand, and I had to go up and kiss Grandma.
But that was,
That bothered me,
yeah.
but I did,
She,
because she told me to,
she was with one of the other aunts then. It must have been Aunt Barbara.
because it was a farmhouse, but everybody was there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's when they
But
laid them out
she-
in the home, rather than,
Yeah, gotta give them the flowers.
right. Yeah. Okay, what happened after now, Dorothy? I don't remember that. We all went to Madison, or what?
Not right away.
Had her overnight case, is it?
After she died, then there was a friend of our family that she had her own family. Somebody's getting tired.
Come here, Heather.
And she came during the day and helped out.
Who
With,
did not?
her name was
Lady.
Dima Dumke. She was a
Tea or
friend.
something?
She was married and had a family. And she was a friend. They knew her from several years back. But she was nice enough to come over
That was
and
nice.
help out. But then it got too much for her. And then Aunt Annie and Madison, she decided she would take the 3 little kids, and she kept them for the winter down
Now,
there.
who are the 3? Bill?
Bob and Ramona.
Okay.
And Carol and I stayed in Elroy with Dad, and we went to school. Every weekend we took the train and went to Madison and came back on Sunday night on the train.
That was a
How
long
old
trip
were
in those
you?
days.
How old were you?
Well,
at
I
this
was
time?
15 when she died.
You went to school in Madison?
No,
Spent
we
the weekend.
just spent the weekend down there every weekend during that winter when the little ones were down there.
What's the address in Madison? Can you remember, Ramona?
She lived on East,
West
was it West Wilson?
Wilson, and then she moved to Jefferson, and then over to Doty.
Yeah, but
Now
that
they're
was
on-
later on and when she made those moves.
Yeah, but she lived on Wilson to begin with when
No
we were real
address
little.
that you can remember?
I can't remember the number. It was
No.
right down off the square though.
Okay.
Yeah, right by Lake.
No, it's water.
Now, where were you going to school? In Elroy?
Mm-hmm.
And living in Madison?
No. Ramona, the 3 youngest ones lived in Madison.
They
For the
went with
winter.
Aunt Annie for that
And the
winter.
2 older ones, Carol and Dorothy, went to school in Elroy and went back to Madison to
Yeah,
visit
because
their
see, I
brothers
was
and sisters
15
on
and
weekends.
Carol was 10.
Do you want to hear? Some nice water.
Want a drink from me?
You want water?
No, but I think just Heather would like some.
Want a pull from this?
Chug a lug, chug a lug.
Do you want a drink, Dorothy?
Thank you.
Okay.
Heather, want a glass of water?
Heather?
She's got that little teeny red cup out there that she had something,
Yeah, that
something
little-
in before.
All right, and so then
So
that went on for a winter.
Yeah, that went on till spring. And then Dad advertised
I'll
for
get a
help
glass.
for a housekeeper in the papers,
Which
in the
papers?
Chicago papers.
Chicago papers.
And,
Why did he think to advertise in Chicago?
Yeah,
he
that I
couldn't, I don't know, but he couldn't.
I was thinking Madison being, he went to Madison.
Madison
So
wasn't that
I
small of a
remember
town,
there was
is
a
it?
lady in Madison too that, I don't know if she was a widow or what, but she, I can't quite remember.
This was
now.
all
She
during
was
the
kind of
Depression, right?
available, yeah, it was very
So
hard to
at that
find
time, they
anybody.
figured there might be a lot more opportunity or people down there looking to
Possibly.
get out
Yeah,
of the city and get onto a farm.
yeah, and he
Nice.
had several answers that
At least
night,
then there
a
might
lot
be
of
some
answers.
steady food, so they might be more willing,
Uh-huh.
But he
And
did
then,
definitely do the Chicago paper
He
instead.
advertised in the,
And
and other, around in the area too. He was looking, but there was nobody available in our area, to come in, live in, and take care of, take care of his home,
did
because it got to be, pretty much of a hassle after a while too with.
So my mother came to work.
It's very hard. Yeah, and
Was
your
she just
mother
an,
came-
just an employee?
She answered the ad and,
in
Uh-huh.
Chicago
Came up.
she answered?
she came up, I think, to Elroy.
Okay, but now is she living in Chicago?
She was working for somebody in Chicago in that area. She was a housekeeper, working as a
Housekeeper
housekeeper already, because that was the type of work she was doing. And her mother, your grandmother, was living in Neilsville.
Uh-huh.
Which
Yeah.
is close to Elroy?
It's not too
100
far.
miles.
Yeah. Is it 100 miles?
I don't know, but it's somewhere.
Yeah, it's north.
Is it that
up
far?
near,
We
Black
were up
River
there by
Falls, up
Betty's
that
farm,
area.
and
Okay,
near
so
Black
she
River
had,
Falls.
she had sort of seen that area then anyway.
And she came, and I think Winnie,
Yeah,
Winifred was with her, was up with your grandma.
Mhm.
I remember when Winnie came. Yeah, Julia was firehouse, and then she brought
she
Winnie
brought
later.
Winnie down,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember when Winnie came.
Yeah, right.
How long before when he came?
It wasn't too long after she came that she brought Winnie, but I don't even remember exactly.
Yeah, I don't remember the date.
Maybe months or something.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Well,
How,
then
did you get along with Winifred, or?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Winnie was a nice
So
girl.
nice.
she
She used to write stories. I just loved to read her stories. She
Oh,
should have
yeah.
gone into
She
journalism.
said, Bob was saying once, Wynn said once, I don't remember who it was, she cold-cocked Bob, I guess, because he was irritating her. Dan saw that and said, no, you should shoot. Guess she laid off and hit him pretty good.
Winnie hit Bob?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Or
didn't
something,
know. Yeah.
something, yeah. Did Bob tell us that?
Oh, Winnie just said over the phone she'd be interested in hearing all of Bob's side of the story.
Oh,
yeah.
She said we got along great when we got along, and I don't think any two people fought so hard as we never fought.
Well, that was all just like kids,
Yeah.
how kids are, they fight. Ramona and Bill used to fight too,
Terrible.
especially when they did dishes.
Oh, terrible. And Bob and I fought.
Ramona and you and who? Bill?
Billy.
When they
He used to tease me. Just he'd
Yeah.
blow up a dish towel and go like this.
Yeah.
Have you ever been
Yeah,
hit
I
by
like
the end of a
that.
dish
Yeah,
towel?
And I
Fun.
remember your mother saying how you
Used
used
to
to
snap
fight
my-
with your sister.
Used to draw blood.
With that.
Did you
Really?
Oh,
Snap that
get
towel
that
at
thing
her?
wet and
You were good.
oh wow.
It hurts just terrible.
Then wind up doing
Yeah.
washing and wiping.
But it was worth it.
That's what I was. Ooh. I was
That's
telling
okay.
Kim.
She's
Now
just
right through
scared.
the back of the chair.
Oh, come here, Heather. It's gonna be all right. Bingo.
Here, here,
She's
bring
scared.
her over
She's
here by
scared.
Dorothy. Yeah.
Come here. It's gonna
Okay.
be okay. It's
You
all
want a
right.
piece of ice, Dorothy? Yeah, now I'm gonna
Did she bump the back or did she bump? It's all right.
These yellow ones were the
I
ones.
gotta sit on the
This
back
is the ones I
heel.
wanted to
Yes,
ask
we
you.
hear
Oh,
you.
you sit on this chair,
Strictly.
honey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
then you
couldn't
won't
understand how it
fall.
come out
Yeah.
there.
That's a
yellow.
good chair for you to sit on, otherwise you fall through.
No,
not
oh,
these.
those are bad chairs.
No question.
Did you know your
I can bring in
father?
my album and show you the same
Was
thing.
he interviewing different
Just
people?
No, just
Yeah.
this.
Hang on a second.
Was Joe interviewing different people?
Not that no, I think he went through the
But you
letters and
need
he
two
picked the
dozen.
letter that
These
sounded the
aren't,
best to
well, these
him.
aren't
Because he couldn't find
These aren't
anybody
mine.
in our area
For my
to
camera.
come,
No. And
Did he get many answers?
He had a lot of letters, yeah, he did.
Well, that's a nice
And Did he seem to want that, or was that your mother's wish that he get somebody in there?
Well, all she ever wanted was that he would not split up the family, split up the children. Because I remember after she died, all our aunts, they wanted, we'll take one, we'll take one, we'll take one. And she had told him before she died that she did not want the kids split up.
She must have
If
had.
something happened to her, she said, I don't want the kids split up. And he said he would never, ever do that.
65.
Okay, so that was too much to ask of somebody just part-time, so.
It was very hard.
Well then, why did Julia and Joe get married?
Well, she was there, must have been a year and a half or so before
Was
they
it?
were married.
Yeah, well, see, I don't remember any
Yeah.
of that.
Well,
Good year.
like I say, I
Get a wide
I
angle
don't
lens
really
and
know.
an
We
automatic
just
flash, and
decided to
you'll
get
be
married.
surprised how much your world of photography will open up.
Okay, I think Julia said something about just wanting the security. She said, you know, during the Depression and everything, she just decided that that would be the way to go. So, okay, so they never discussed those kind of things with you guys.
No,
They were never married in the Catholic Church either, were they?
no.
Oh, that's interesting.
They went to
Not
La
at
Crosse
that
to get
time.
married, right?
I don't remember where they went to get married, Jim.
Yeah, I think my mother mentioned that.
Yeah, she doesn't know where in La Crosse, but she just knows that they were married in La Crosse.
I didn't remember
You're in the
that.
movies.
You have to look at that camera, Heather.
Look
You
at the
can
camera
over
up
there,
there.
honey.
See?
Sit
See
there,
the
Ramona, and then
pictures
you'll be
up
in the
there?
picture.
You come and sit in this. Oh, you're gonna sit on my lap.
You have to smile, Heather.
But you have to smile, and you have to listen to Dorothy. Listen to Grandma. Okay?
Okay, so anyway, they got married. And then how long did you live on the farm after that?
We moved.
We were on that, in that house.
We moved out to the farm in
Probably 1940.
what grade was I
41.
in?
Wait a minute.
Oh, honey, that candy cane's all sticky.
Probably 41 or so.
Where'd you move then, from the farm to
Out to
where?
that other farm out 3 miles out of the city.
41, 40.
Bella?
I think I was in 3rd grade.
How about
Since
this
I
tavern?
walked,
Because I was gone from home when you moved out there.
and Carol left that year we were out there. She never moved back. She left for Chicago. So she was 16. So how old?
Heather?
Can you get it, Heather? Wait a minute. That's the pretend one, you know. That's not the real
Okay,
one.
so you were still living,
Here.
did you ever move out to the farm or you were
That's
gone
not
by
the
then?
real one, honey.
Where did you
That's
go?
the
I
pretend.
went to Madison to work.
Okay, you can hold it.
Did you go to school and work
No,
or?
I stayed with Havlicks.
Annie, is that
And
Joe's
yeah.
sister? Joe's
Yeah,
older
right,
sister?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his older sister. Yeah.
That's just pretend now.
And it was after that you moved out there, right?
We moved,
But
yeah, you had already left before we moved out on the
But
other
the place
farm.
was not sold at that time.
No, because we moved back to our house.
Because you had moved back
Yeah,
there again.
and then Dad bought Sanderson's house. Remember that great
Yeah.
big building?
The one behind us, yeah.
That's
Big house behind us.
Winnie and I were in the place, and I think it was Winnie and I. Maybe we weren't supposed to be in there. And the old owners came, and we were hiding upstairs. I was never so scared in my entire life. We tried to be really quiet. It was either Winnie and me or Bob and me. I think it was Winnie though. In that house. And the owners came and went through the downstairs. And we were hiding upstairs so
How
they couldn't
funny.
see us
Oh, how
or
funny.
hear us. I can't remember whatever happened though. I just
They
remember
must
the
have not
feeling,
been found.
feeling of
Yeah.
hiding for something.
Now, Jim was asking about the tavern. When did they have it by the tavern? Was Julia there by then?
Oh yeah. I remember the tavern.
Dad had the tavern before our mother died.
Oh, yeah? And kept that for how long?
He had that right before we moved to Albright, to Racine, didn't he?
I think so,
Because we
yeah.
used to have our lunch there. We'd stop there from school.
Yeah, when the war, when that war started, right? Then there wasn't anything,
He was bricklaying
He
on
had
the side too.
bricklaying on the
Yeah.
side, yeah. And he would have to spend a lot of, I remember when they were building the courthouse in Boston, he worked on that. And that's when it got where there wasn't any building or anything going on, and that's when he decided to come to work at Case's because they were going pretty strong at that time, Case Company in the scene.
How did
I
you hear
don't know
about
how
Casey's?
he heard about that, I really don't know.
Okay, well anyhow, then you guys just packed up and moved?
I was in Madison at that
You
time.
were there, yeah.
And they were back in Elroy, back in the old house, back in their first house, back off the farm again. I don't know, how long were you off there on that farm?
Just 1 year.
1 year.
1 year. One fun year. We had no running water, no electricity, no central heating, but we had so much fun. It was hard.
We drove out there about a year ago, and it's absolutely beautiful country out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful.
But
Were you married now?
I was married
How
by
old
that
were you
time.
when you were married?
I was,
18 or 19. You were young.
yeah, I was just 19, I think.
And where did you meet George?
Well, I actually started going out with him when I was in Madison, because he was working at the store down there too, at
What store?
Warshawski store. But I knew him when we were in LA, because we used to see each other at dances and stuff.
Oh,
But I
okay.
never knew him out until we were back in Madison.
Okay.
Who was
so
the
then
fellow you were dating? Jack Drummond? Was that his name? In Elroy?
John Drummond.
John. I remember him.
Jack Boyd too, remember him?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you got Jack in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you were married, and then this whole group, you were back on the farm. You didn't stay
Dad
with
moved
your
here
aunt.
ahead of us.
Oh, your dad?
He had an apartment right on Main Street. You know where Idle's downtown?
Oh, yeah.
Right across the street.
Oh, yeah.
He lived upstairs there. The apartments are still there. Because we would come here we came here on Good Friday weekend for Good Friday. Must have been Easter was our first time here. Then we went back home. Then we moved shortly after. Then he rented a house in Bell Bronx on Main Street.
Yeah, they decided that the whole family
That was at
should move down.
837, right?
837 South
837
Main.
South Main, yeah.
No, according to Bob, that was about a year that he was here before the rest of the family came.
Yeah, that's what Ramona just said, right?
Yeah, he was here ahead of us.
I don't remember just how long it was, but
I don't know if it was a year or not, but I
didn't seem like
remember.
it was that long, but maybe it could have
I
been.
remember when we came here one weekend, our hired hand Bill was taking care of our farm when we got home, and one of our prize team of horses got hit by a car and he had to be shot. There were those two horses, Jack, what were the two horses' names? Don and Jack or something. Anyway, the one was crossing the street and
Jack.
yeah,
They were done, you know?
they were just
Whatever happened to
strong
Ginger.
horses. Yeah.
John?
Great big
Triggering
tall
thing.
horses, so beautiful
Donna
team of
Jack.
horses, and they worked so good together. And Dad was really upset because that happened. Really upset over that horse having to be shot.
Oh.
That was traumatic. I remember that so well in my life.
Yeah, remember before he had the tavern too, he had a feed mill. And then he also had that old ice house over on the other
I don't
side.
remember
Yeah.
that.
Joe did?
And he used to cut ice in the winter.
He knew how to do everything.
My dad used to have an ice house?
Oh yeah. And he'd deliver
Cut
ice
it out
in
of the
summer.
river or the lake or
No, it
something?
was a regular big ice pond.
Uh-huh.
And you know where you came down, well, you know where you came down to our house, and then you turned on Frank to go to our house? Well, his ice house was going the other way. And
Towards
that's
the
where the ice
cemetery.
house was, and then it would be packed in sawdust for the summer, and then in the summer he'd deliver ice to people.
I've seen some of these ice houses, you know, the big thick walls that they had.
Well, what
All
year was
packed
he
in
doing
sawdust,
all
that
that
ice
with the
never
ice?
melted.
It must have been,
Pardon?
When did he do that with the ice?
That was before he had the tavern. So.
And your mother was living?
Oh yeah. That was before he had the tavern.
How was the tavern? Was that successful or?
Yeah, I remember.
fish
Should be
fries
in there.
Friday nights and
I
sugar on
remember.
Saturday nights.
Yeah, I remember we used to work, boy.
We had money now.
Sandwiches, free sandwiches, always free lunch.
It was pennies, you know.
Mhm.
A nickel beer. And a nickel
Yeah.
Sure.
They had
Free lunch.
spittoons all the way down the.
The chicken used to be free most of
And
the time.
fish on Fridays, we fry fish all the time.
That was
Oh,
free?
we worked hard.
Most of the stuff was free, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
we'd
food.
kill between 50
How-
and
how- how
75
did you survive?
chickens.
I mean, if you
And
give away
clean
free
those
food.
chickens and fry.
Was the booze that high?
Not
Nobody
really.
made money.
There wasn't any
Oh.
money.
It was
The
just
farmers
a-
starved. Everybody
The
By
starved.
giving
farmers
away
were
their
so
chickens
poor.
and then the bartender served by
Yeah,
giving.
but-
Farmers were really
Somebody must have been
poor.
doing
I
okay.
remember when I
So the
first,
farmers that gave the chickens came in and ate it
But
at
we
the bar.
raised our chickens.
We raised our own.
So that was
And
your
then we
cost?
served those in the
He
chamber.
raised all his own.
yeah, but feed at that time was,
He had the
Pennies
feed,
also.
he
Yeah,
had
there
part of
was
the feed
no-
mill too, didn't he?
yeah. There was no cost whatsoever to feed.
It was kind of
What were
a
you gonna say,
relaxing
Tom? You
life.
remember?
When I first
Nobody
started
made any
drinking,
money.
it was the last of the free sandwiches.
When you
When I was old enough to go into bars.
She's in with the
Oh.
kids.
On 16th Street, across from Johnson's Wax, they had, I think it was Johnson's Tavern. And there's a
Oh,
liquor
no.
store.
I just want to make sure she's not
anyways,
doing
they
anything
had,
she shouldn't be.
Sandwiches and platters of ham, cheese, and you go in there and you're
Kathy?
talking about,
Would you
Dine
blow the
draft
candle
beer
out
at
in the
the time.
bathroom? I think I left
and
it
you
on.
want, you know.
Please.
It was just
What time is it?
another come on to get the
Genesis.
people to go. And,
Oh.
I dropped my watch.
you know, when I hear about my parents talk,
I
there's
see it's quarter after 9.
fish fries and chicken, or you have chicken for a nickel, all you could eat. You know.
Thank you, Kathy.
Nobody was making money.
No, no. When I got out of high school, there weren't any jobs available.
You worked at a tea shop.
Yeah, and I got that because Georgia knew the lady that ran it. And that's how I got in it.
How much an hour did you make?
Oh, let's see. I think I made about $4 and some cents a week.
Oh, a dime an hour maybe.
That was including your tip?
Well, the tips would probably be like,
You didn't get that many tips.
I
The
don't
tips
know
were
if they
really,
tipped then, did
the
they?
tips, if you got anything, it'd be maybe 5 cents in pennies. Really.
Yeah.
I used to always serve Frank Lloyd Wright, who'd come in there with his students. He always ate at this tea room. It was a real nice tea room in Barron Brothers department store. He'd come to Madison, and he always ate there because they catered to him. He was very eccentric, and he'd bring about 3 of his students with him. And he would leave me, he left me a tip that one time, 14 cents, all in pennies.
Tip.
All in pennies.
Funny.
And you just served him when he came in. There was one waitress that would take care of him because you spent all your time, you know, catering to him.
Concentrating right on
It was just
his
terrible.
desires.
He just demanded so much, you know, extra, everything had to be done special for him, you know, and his students were just as eccentric as he was.
Funny.
Yeah.
All right, so now
He was
in,
considered a wealthy man, you know, and he
Oh,
left 14
yeah.
cents in pennies, you
Yeah.
know.
yeah.
That was a big tip, I suppose. then, huh?
Okay, now you moved to Racine, and you don't know about what year that was?
On November 7th of 19, it was election year. President Roosevelt was elected.
1940.
The day we moved, no, 44.
Oh, that.
43 or 44. Sure, because I was in 5th grade, 5th or 6th grade.
What about 44?
I remember clearly what.
And you were living where at that time?
At that time,
Because George went in the service. didn't
George
he?
went into the Navy.
In 43, was it, or 40?
yeah, and I was living at Badge Ordnance Works, and I was down there for about, I think we were there about 6 months.
Badge
He went
Ordnance
into-
Works, what is that?
Right outside of Baraboo, where they had that big
powder plant.
powder plant.
Oh, yeah?
They had housing for people down there.
Is that still there, or did that blow up somewhere?
No, it's still there, and they still have.
Well, the housing,
Still
I think, is all
operate.
torn down.
Housing is
That's-
gone. Some of the end of the homes have been moved to an area right around there, you know, that were for just officers. They had homes, but the barracks are gone. And
and all it was temporary housing.
Yeah.
And it was, well, they had a little city set up.
oh yeah, they had a school, and they had a big They had a
Shopping?
shopping. They had shopping. They had a big grocery store
And an
and
EMP
a
store.
drugstore.
didn't they?
Yeah. I remember that.
And you had a family then, didn't
I
you?
had the 2 kids then, yeah, Janice and John.
Okay.
So then George went into the Navy. Janice was 3 and John was a year old. And so then when Dad moved the family down here, then he asked me if I would come too. Because he had this house on Main Street and it was like in a little apartment upstairs.
Yeah,
And so
there was
then
3 floors.
3 floors to his house. So that's when I came down to the scene, as after he moved here.
Was that difficult moving back in a home again, or?
Well, the whole thing was very hard because George had to leave. I was out left at the barracks, at the powder plant with 2 little kids, no car, no transportation. Well, they had Greyhound buses that went to, but
You were lonesome.
It was
hard.
very- it
And
was
then the
hard.
war was
Yeah.
going strong. You just never
yeah,
knew.
when he went in, I never knew if he was coming back
Yeah.
or not because he was over in the war zone all while I was
Yeah.
gone.
Where was he? What station?
He was over in Okinawa, been over there.
On a ship, wasn't he?
He was in the army.
Maybe.
He participated in the Battle of Iwo Jima too, didn't he?
He was over in that whole area.
And so you lived in that house on Main Street for how long? Till George came back?
Yeah, I was there until George came back, plus we were there a few years after that too. Until
Was Jane
No,
born yet?
Janie was born there
Jane was born in that house there, yeah.
when George got home.
Yeah,
About what, 40s?
49.
49?
Jane was born there.
Something's getting
Honey,
real tight, I
yeah.
gotta take
Yeah.
her home.
I'm not prepared for any more questions. I'm really trying to think. All right, so then you moved out of there and you bought a house.
No, we didn't buy it, we got a chance to get this little house from Bill Drunk, who owned the house
Grand
that they
Avenue.
lived in, yeah. He had bought this little house, and so he offered it to us if we wanted to
What was the address?
fix it up. 1109 Grand Avenue,
It's still
across from St. Rose
I
Church.
should send it in.
All right, and what did you do, Ramona? How long did you stay there? Oh, Carol was next. How long did Carol stay there before she left?
Carol lived in Chicago. She left Elroy.
when she was 16.
She was
Yeah,
16.
she never
graduated.
She never came back.
No,
She lived there.
he was a nice cookie. No.
Pretzels.
Okay,
When did she move back to Racine though?
okay, well, if you can't remember Carol, we'll ask Carol. When you were next? No, Bob was next. We got Bob. What did you do next? How long did you live in the house on Main Street?
I moved out when I must have been 19. I lived there a year after I graduated. I worked at Western Printing. And then I moved in by Dort.
Did you live with Dorothy then? Okay.
And then I moved out to California in 54.
For how long?
A year. So
Where,
55.
LA somewhere?
Long Beach. And then I ran into
Now,
town out
honey,
there.
Finish that one?
You can't be
Where-
eating
where you
hard
going?
cookies, honey. You have to
Make
eat
a
what
wrong
you
turn?
take, okay?
Get discharged in Long Beach.
That's a good girl.
Is that where you two met then, at Long Beach?
I knew him from school because
Met
he
her in
went
a
around
bar.
with Bob. Haha. No, I was going with a friend of his. And his friend knew, my friend and Tom's friend were they're mutual friends. So that's how we got together out there. But I had dated Tom here for a week before he went overseas again.
Oh, how funny.
He came home
You
and I was out with
dated?
with a friend, and we met at this beer joint out in Burlington.
Oh, you're right.
Ran into each other, but I knew him from high school.
Yeah, you're kidding.
No. Just never know.
That was the only place that there was for young teenagers to go.
Yeah. Okay, so then you met and you married in what? What year did you marry?
56.
56.
Yeah.
And then you moved. You were living with Dorothy when you got married?
No, I lived with my girlfriend on Holland Avenue,
You
Jerry
got married at
Baumgart,
Johnson's
Jerry
Park.
Maddie. And then when Bob and Bill both got out of the service, Bob, Bill, and I got an apartment on Grand
St. Mary's
Avenue,
Church?
947 Grand Avenue.
The old
And we
St.
lived
Mary's
there
St.
until
Rose.
the boys went to school, and I got married. See, both boys went to school.
We had the wedding dinner at
Both
American Legion.
boys.
Bob and Bill.
Right on Main. Like where you used to
Yes,
live.
and
They
then
moved to Madison?
Your house was torn
Wait,
down.
where were they living?
we had this apartment on the ranch.
Joe
When they got out of the service.
was
After
living
you were married?
No. When I came home
Lake.
from California,
Alright,
in the big house on
Bob, Bill, and I moved with my girlfriend first.
alright. Back here.
And then Bob and Bill got out of the service, and the three of us got an apartment in Grant.
Okay, so you were all out of this house,
Yeah.
837 Main.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, by that time, Dad had moved on Lake Avenue already.
Oh,
We never
Another
lived
building.
on the house on Lake, Jim, yeah. See, when we left home, Dad lived on Main, and then when we got back, he was on Lake Avenue, so somewhere in those years, he
think I should take
yeah,
bought
I'm
that
just
house.
thinking we should probably stop then, Jim.
Nona
Anything
can
else
probably
you got?
continue with something.
You took
but
care of me the
I
early
think
years,
I
huh?
should take her home.
You took care
Yeah.
of me?
I think
Yeah, we can stop and click that on if you want to hear that again.
Grand Raptor, I think, here, I'll get you some. I got 'em.
What are you funky?
Oh, good.
It's been this quiet in years.
I knew it.
Oh, I bet I'm in the camera.
You came here. You don't even know what's going on. Just
When you going back to stuff?
I'll be going back about the 9th, so that's the 11th of January. So.
and you're studying dietetic or dietitian or
Dietetics, yeah, that's
Dietetics.
what it's under, the major. So.
You're gonna be
Graduating.
knowing what all the cancer-causing agents are then in the years to come.
Everything that's
Something else.
carcinogenic, right?
Everything.
Everything. Don't do this. The best thing is just eat what you want.
Alright.
Should be graduating a year from this May, hopefully, if everything goes all right. Get out of there.
Then what are you going to go into?
Well, I think I'm going to go on for my master's then, because you're automatically registered. I was just telling Kathy, if you get a master's degree, well, see, when you graduate with a degree in dietetics, you're not a registered dietitian. You're just a dietitian. And you have to, in order to be registered, you have to take a state exam. It's almost like a lawyer takes a bar exam, anything like that. And then you do a year internship. But if you go on and get your master's, you eliminate all this. You're automatically registered, and you don't have to go through the internship.
Most of the dietitians that work in hospitals or for county health services or what?
Right, nursing homes, any place where food is involved, you know what I mean? Nursing homes, hospitals, like Southern Colony out there.
What's been happening to you lately? You've been entering a year or so ago, you're entering contests or?
Right,
How's that going?
that went okay, yeah, I got a nice trophy. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking of going in one in the end of January, I'm ready for it. I've been doing a little too much partying lately, so I don't know. If I watch my diet close enough and stuff, I might be able to go in one.
Smile, you got smile.
You have to prepare for it for about 3 weeks. Your diet has to change, so it's, I don't know. I guess it's something that keeps me out of trouble.
So it just kind of all ties together what you're studying?
Yeah, mainly it correlates the nutrition.
Good. Okay.
Okay?
Yep. Television
my big-
interview
yeah.
here.
What are you gonna do?
No, I'm going to go out to the
buzzed?
chancery.
Yeah. Forget what I said about training.
Yeah.
Bomb
Well, you know how they always lie about.
Yeah, how they're going to
Stretch the truth a little bit.
I see. So all those were lies.
That was a lie about
Oh, it's just like when those guys give seminars, the bodybuilders and that, they say, oh, I don't eat this and that. Then the next night you see them in the bar or whatever.
Walking around eating a candy bar and drinking a beer.
Exactly.
Right?
You know how that goes. That's true.
I come back with one outfit
I understand.
Can't-
Yeah.
just to get home.
Can't
I
take
heard
it.
they were talking
That's what I
at the Wide World of Sports was talking about the bodybuilders. I say, how do you cite guys? And they usually eat a Clark bar or something.
Yeah, for sure. And if they say they don't, you know it's bullshit because people, they some of them, maybe one or so out of the whole bunch of them, might go nuts.